Welcome, Year 5, to the fifth lesson out of a series of 10 English sessions based on the book The Arrival by Sean Tan and the theme of community. Let's get started. So here's our starter activity for today. You can play on your own. You might want your parents to join in with you, or maybe you can do it like a competition between the two of you. Can you name all these characters? Some from books, some from film, some from TV. Good luck. Well done and welcome back. Let's see if you got the answers correct. Here's the first row. So we've got Rupert the Bear, Sylvester the Cat, Donald Duck, Dora the Explorer, and Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown's one of the characters from Snoopy. Next row. He-Man, Mickey Mouse, Elmer Fudd, Scooby-Doo, or SpongeBob SquarePants. I believe there are rumours about a He-Man movie coming out at some point. Last line. Pikachu, Bugs Bunny, Bart Simpson, Dennis the Menace, and Penfold. There's definitely one for the parents out there. Well done. Count up those scores, see how you did. And maybe spend a bit of time finding out about some of those characters that you've not heard of before. Let's get on with today's lesson. Make sure you have everything with you, something to write with and something to write on. Let's go. We're going to start today by reminding ourselves of the story so far. It's always nice to kind of recap and remind ourselves of what's been going on. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now, today we're going to look at the next part of the story, but specifically the story from the book rather than the animation. I have a question, a series of questions, in fact, that we're going to answer as today's lesson goes on about why these stories are in this book but aren't in the animation that's been made, which has obviously been created by somebody else and not the author of this book. So the characters we're going to meet, we've got 3 images here, show us a little bit about who they might be. We seem to have a young girl. We seem to have a man about the same age as the arrival, so our main character, and an older gentleman here. Pause the video now so you can have a little think and make a prediction about why we might hear about each of these stories. Welcome back. Have you made your predictions? So here are the 3 questions that we're going to focus on today. Why does the author share these stories? Why are they in the book? Why are they important stories to be telling? And what do they teach us about community? And that'll make more sense as we go through. So we've recapped the beginning of this story. We know why the arrivals come to this city. In the book, we then find these 3 stories. And then it comes back to what happens to our arrival at the end. And it'll be interesting to see whether having these stories in the book makes a difference to the way we understand the story. We're going to look at each one of these people's stories in a bit more detail. I'm going to show you a little bit of a video just of the images that are from the book, because of course they're not in the animation. And then I've got a couple of questions for each of these parts of the story as well. So there'll be a set of questions for A, B, and C. And those questions are really going to be there to start you thinking about what we learn about the characters and how do they link to our main character, the arrival. And then once we've gone through that thinking, at the end of the lesson, we're going to come back to those 3 questions. Why the story contains these 3 stories? Why are they important stories to know about? And what is the impact of it? And how does it represent our theme of community? Let's start investigating. Here's the first story from the book. So now we've watched the series of pictures, I've picked out a couple of important ones here. So it's when they meet first of all on the boat or the vessel, taking them to another part of the city, when she begins to talk about her early life and what had happened to her, books taken away from her, a shovel put in her hand and being sent to the factories in order to work, and her escaping and getting her book back and taking the train or stowaway, being a stowaway on a train to this city. Pause the video to answer the following 6 questions. What does this young girl like doing? Maybe some clues over here. How does this young girl's life change? How does it change? Choose 3 words that describe her new life. Her new life, now that it's changed. What does the girl decide to do about her new life? Does she just stick with it? What does she do? Which of these 3 words best describe this young girl? Courageous, scared, or brave? Choose one. And then finally, explain the reason for your choice. Why did you choose that word? Why is she courageous? Why is she scared? Why is she brave? I'll see you when you've finished. It's time now for our next story. Who do we meet next? And what might have happened to them? Welcome back. So we have our arrival needing some help. This gentleman gives him that help. They find some commonalities, and we notice that our arrival gets very scared because he sees something that reminds him of the monsters back at his home, in his home city, his home country. And that scares him, and he explains that to this man. And the man understands him and shares his story about these, what looks like these giant men. They seem to be like sucking up the people that live there. Maybe they have invaded that city. And then him and his wife running away and trying to escape, finding a boat, and then heading out to sea and finding our city. I want you to first of all think about what's similar about the two men's stories. And then think about what's different about their stories. You might want to create a table on your page, similarities and differences, things that are the same in their stories and things that are different. Pause the video now so that you've got time to write your answers down. It's time for our third story. So here we have the two men meeting at the factory that they're working at. And they decide to have a drink together. And the old man recalls tales of how he joined an army of some description and parading through the city and having people cheering them on and kind of waving them off. And they all seem very positive. And you can see that the further he marches, the different lands he goes over, things start to get more difficult. And we see at the end of this, I think it's lovely, where we can see that pace picking up and he starts to run. And then we get this imagery, the clouds have come in, it's much darker and mistier, and we can see that they seem to be running either towards something in battle. And then we see the result of what happens at the end, and he returns home. And we saw in the video that he's come home injured as well. And there's nothing there for him. So here are the 3 questions I need you to think about for this story. Why did the old man have to leave his home? And I'd also think about how this relates to the other 3, the young girl, the man, and our arrival. Was it for the same reasons? Did he leave because he had to? And B, which word best describes how the old man felt when he arrived at his new home? Was he excited, lonely, or hopeful? So when he arrived at the city, did he feel the same way that the arrival did? And then to explain your reason for it. Why was he excited? Why was he lonely? Or why was he hopeful? Explain your answer in as much detail as you can. Maybe give an example. Pause the video so you've got time to think and to write your answers down. So now that we know about those 3 stories, let's think about why they're there. Why did the author include them in his story about the arrival? You can also think about them. Why did the person who made the animation, why did they take it out? Is it better with the stories or without the stories? How does it change it? So, just those 3 questions for you to answer today. Why does the author share the stories? Why are they important? And what do these characters teach us about community and what it means? I've given you some sentence starters below to get you started, to help you out. I think that the author shares these stories because I think the author shares these stories to show us the 3 character stories are important to the reader because they show, we learn that, it helps us to understand. And these characters show us that community is about, or community should be, and I've popped our initial image from our very first lesson there about community on there just as a little reminder. Maybe you can go back to some of your notes to help you. These are some big questions, and you may wish to go through this lesson with an adult so that you can talk about these ideas in more detail. Good luck and enjoy. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.